The offseason is officially here, but did Alex Golesh and his staff do everything they needed to do in the portal? And does Auburn have the tools in the belt?
This is the Weekend Tailgate, brought to you by Golden's Cast Iron. C-Dub, Ike Jones, Be Will, Mike G. You are now listening to
Weekend Tailgate, brought to you by our friends at Golden's Cast Iron. Visit goldenscastiron.com/WR. Use code Get Your Weight Up for 15% off your weights and code TWR for $65 off fire pits and Kamado grills. Caesar, it is cold outside, and if you believe the weatherman, Atlanta was going to turn into the North Pole today. I'm not sure they got the cold and sleet and hail that was being predicted by the forecast. Literally, it looked like it was some end of world stuff they were talking about for Atlanta. I saw a funny meme with them pouring lemon pepper on the highways. But look, no lemon pepper needed for a Golden's Cast Iron Grill. They're grilling up something nice. You could be too. Again, use code Get Your Weight Up for 15% off your weights and code TWR for $65 off fire pits and Kamado grills. Workout, grill out, chill out with Golden's Cast Iron. Hit that Rogue Shop, guys. RogueShop.com. Use code Rapport to get 15% off your Rogue Shop order. Pain, sleep, stress, anxiety, whatever ails you in life, the Rogue Shop potentially has something that has you covered. RogueShop.com. Use code Report so they know that the War Report sent you. Last certainly not least, I want to thank our friends at the Vibe Vault. You can find them at 3462 Crosswinds Road, Suite E in Phoenix City, Alabama. If you're in the Columbus, Phoenix City area and you're looking to get fresh for the weekend, the Vibe Vault is the place for you. Beard trims, lineups, fades, they do it all, and they do it all at a very, very high level. Very skilled barbers there. You can find them in Phoenix City on Highway 431, right across the street from Chattahoochee Valley Community College, next to the Renfro Supermarket and the Marco's Pizza. The Vibe Vault, not just barbers, a lifestyle consultants. Check us out at thewarreport.com, where you can find all our written work and our merch store. Lots of fly gear for you guys. You do a great job, actually, getting stuff from the merch store. I see you guys at the games with our gear on. We appreciate this. This is a great way to support our work. So again, warreport.com. Make sure you get your War Report gear today. Let's not waste time. Let's jump right in. It's your boy Mike G. I'm here with C-Dub on a Sunday night for the Weekend Tailgate. Usually we go live a little earlier, but I'll schedule a little bit with the weather. Ike was traveling, so he went to Florida. We're going to talk some Auburn basketball on today's segment. Caesar did a great job with the post-game live stream, but we're going to continue the conversation about Auburn basketball on today's show. But before we get to basketball, we got to talk football, Caesar, and we have to talk portal. And we got to talk about what they did in the portal. One of the first comments left in, put it in our comment section, is something that's going to kick our conversation off. It's exactly where we're going. Appreciate Denny, he said, I don't think we did enough at QB.
Got to consider the source of this comment, though.
All right. I don't think we did enough at QB. He would not be alone in that thought. So we're going to start the conversation there about, did Auburn do enough? Are they doing enough? Have they done enough? Let's jump right in. I did want to get your thoughts here. Has Auburn done it? 39 players, I think they brought in through the portal.
Yes,
and
39.
with the failure to retain certain guys, I think that there was an opening for Alex Golesh and company to go out and get multiple bodies to help fill some of the needs there. You've got a lot of talent to replace, but because of how things went, you don't actually have a lot of production to replace, if that makes sense. These guys didn't leave a big production hole. I think that their production ceiling was potentially very high, but they never accomplished that here. And there are a lot of reasons for that I don't necessarily put on the kids, but you've got to move forward. That's the thing. We've got to move forward. Do they have the guys to move forward, though? And is this the staff to get the most out of them?
So the way I look at this, Mike, is did this staff check off the quantity box, if that makes sense, right? So in the past, we have seen with prior coaches, won't name any because I'm not picking on anybody today. I promise. I'm in good faith. In the past, Auburn has done well from a recruiting ranking standpoint, but from a quantity standpoint, they were not doing well as it pertains to guys being recruited along the offensive line, right? So even though you would have talent at the skill positions, if you aren't really winning in the trenches in terms of bringing in numbers for that position group, it doesn't really matter, right? Your offense is going to struggle. It's going to be difficult for you to do what you want to do schematically on game days, and we saw that play out for Auburn. I think what this staff did, there was question marks everywhere, Mike, because in last month, guys were leaving left and right from this program. And so when you look at the offensive line, defensive line, cornerback, wide receiver, tight end, edge, you had a lot of different rooms to actually fill needs. I think this staff went out from a quantity standpoint and have addressed each room to the best of their ability. Now, there were some misses along the offensive line.
Yeah.
There were some guys that you brought in that you wanted to commit. They committed elsewhere. I defensively, man, I really wanted Auburn to get DeAndre Robinson signed.
Yeah, we talked about that on a segment. Me and Logan talked about him on a segment, and I thought that was probably a top 3 miss in the portal for Auburn.
Yeah, that's a significant one. That one kind of stung in terms of who you were unable to get. I felt like, me personally, when he left Auburn on his way to Oregon, I felt like he was gone. Just to be quite honest, because again, and the portal is different than high school, right? You can end a person's recruitment instantly, right? If you're convincing enough, if the deal is right, who cares about who else they're visiting? You can stop that, right? I do think that Auburn has done a good job of not only getting guys to fill the role of starter, but they did a good job of adding depth pieces, getting guys for the future. From a quality standpoint, Mike, it remains to be seen just how good some of these guys can be and will be. We know some guys have high ceilings. I like the Arnaud kid from FSU. I thought that was a really good pickup. I like the other cornerback that they got. Shamar Arnaud, Andre Jordan Jr. Those are really good pickups. I like what they did at edge. I think Nate Johnson was a pretty good pickup. I know people have question marks about him. Deshaun Womack, pretty good pickup there. Like, Auburn did well in particular areas. Running back room looks ridiculous. Like I didn't even think Auburn needed that many running backs. Apparently, Alice Golich disagrees with me.
Running back, I was kind of shocked. I was like, man, they just keep taking running backs. How are they gonna play all these guys? You know what? Let me see if this graphic will work here. It didn't exactly cover the whole screen, but here it is kind of broken down by position for our listeners here. If you're listening on pod, we'll sound it out for you. But guys like Bryson Washington, Tay Meadows from Troy, Nakai Davenport comes in from USF. These guys have a chance all to contribute here in year one. Yeah. It's just going to be interesting to see how it shakes out, Mike. It really is. And I feel good about that room. I was surprised that they kept bringing in guys in the tight end room. Like, obviously, that was a room that needed a quarterback. They brought in a quarterback to play tight end. Right? Asterisk by quarterback, right? He was a gadget guy in the quarterback position. But yes, he played more quarterback than he ever did tight end. Granted, right? The question I have is on the quality, right? I can't answer that question. I'm excited about the potential of the guys they brought in, but I think it's fair to say, Mike, there's so many moving parts with the Auburn football program. You got a new head coach, you got new systems that you're bringing in, new offensive strategy, on-field, off-field staff. It's a lot of moving parts, and how does all of this work together? It's like one big jambalaya gumbo soup sort of a deal with Auburn. I'm curious to see how it plays out. I am very curious to see how it plays out. Let's go back to quarterback again, and I want to start with Byron Brown. We've given a lot of takes on Byron Brown, but now it's really time to lock in on how we feel about this now that the rest of the roster has kind of come into focus here. Is he the guy that take Auburn to the next level? I think a lot of it rests on whether they got quarterback right. This was the bane of Hugh Freeze's tenure at Auburn. I don't even know if they didn't get quarterback right now. I don't know. See, in hindsight, was it that they didn't get quarterback right, or just that they just really sucked at calling it while he was here, and quarterback looked worse no matter who was playing? Is that automatic? Does that fix this to a certain level? Does that raise the floor now that you have? Okay, let me reset. After Hugh Freeze was fired, every game after that looked like it was called much better, win or lose. Can we agree on that?
We can agree.
Right. Vanderbilt, Mercer, Iron Bowl. Those were much better called football games. And the quarterbacks in those games looked much better than they looked previously. We saw Deuce earlier in the season. Freeze got to the podium and said, I was surprised he didn't complete more passes. Well, versus Mercer, he did. Completed a hell of a lot of passes. He looked like a superstar. As a matter of fact, in one game versus Mercer, he made himself a lot of money in the portal.
Yeah.
I think he made himself a lot of money in the portal. And then there's Ashton Daniels, the guy who came in with a ton of playing experience and just one game before looked terrible. Freeze isn't calling it. Derek Nix is calling it. And suddenly well, I'm so happy for him. I wish nothing but great things for Ashton Daniels. I really do.
Yeah.
You know, the only guy who really didn't look any better after was Jackson Arnold. The guy Freeze was stuck on. So I am left to think that if just now that people understand that the change in system can produce drastically different results, because I got reamed over the coals for suggesting that Auburn could drop 40 on Vandy. People were calling me names. They were, I literally no lie. Someone actually sent me a DM with a picture of a voodoo doll. Wishing really bad things on me. Like, you're an idiot. Like, you know, what have they done this season to suggest they could score 40 points against anybody? And then they go out, they drop practically 40. Let's call it what it is, right? They scored 38 points, but you know, listen, they did what nobody thought they were going to do. And then, to their credit, almost never happens on the internet. People came back and said, you know what, Mike, I'm sorry. I didn't think it could look that different, but I understand where the original sentiment came from those folks who were highly skeptical. I just tried to explain, look, man, you guys are underestimating how much the system can actually hold the players back from looking like what they're being asked to execute. Because people used to come before when Harsin was here and say, well, you know, every system looks good if you execute. And I said, no, I don't believe that. I think you can design a really bad system and call it really bad. You can execute it just like that, and it's going to look terrible. It could look terrible.
Yeah. It was so bad, Mike, that it was difficult to identify the actual problem outside of just hanging it on Hugh Freeze, right? Obviously, he has to take ownership for a lot of it. This is why he's no longer here. Cole Kublik had a rant recently.
No, I was going to get to that.
And he had a rant recently in response to a lot of fan sentiment about some of the guys entering the portal, Mike. And looking at it with nuance, he had a point. He absolutely had a point from the aspect of the sentiment being, what is Auburn going to do? Right? Basically, that was his way of saying Auburn will be fine. Auburn was Auburn before those guys got here. They will continue to be Auburn after those guys leave. That's a very valid point. I'm in agreement with that point. Where I stop there is when we make comments about what those guys achieved while at Auburn.
Okay, yes. Okay, I'm glad you went there.
Right? In the case of Cam, you have to throw the ball to Cam Coleman for him to really flash his potential. What was Auburn's problem under Hugh Freeze, Mike?
Throwing the ball.
They couldn't throw the ball. That's not Cam's fault that Auburn couldn't throw the ball, or in some cases wouldn't throw the ball to him. So systemically, there were some issues that were outside of Cam Coleman's control in which he couldn't help Auburn win games because you can't even do the very thing to help him help Auburn win games, right?
Okay.
Deuce Knight, QB. The issues at QB, there should be a documentary on the issues at QB.
literally
There
a documentary.
literally be a 30 for 30 on what went wrong in that QB room while Hugh Freeze was the head coach. And we start making a light joke of it. Like, was Jackson Arnold really QB3?
Right,
was he really QB3 starting at Auburn? Now, due to the sequence of events of how guys got here on campus, Jackson Arnold had a way head start on the other guys to be able to punch his ticket to be QB1, Mike. But by the end of the season, it was crystal clear that the best QB for Auburn was not starting at the beginning of the season, right? And so if you have that type of a miss from an evaluation, if you have that type of issue from a play calling, game planning, and we knew the issues behind the scenes, how could Deuce help you?
Right.
Like, I just didn't, again, I understood the point that he was making, but there were a lot of people who should have left Auburn superstars. They should have been drafted higher offensively. I see Lawrence Robinson in the comments talking about Jarquez. No, he had no business being drafted as low as he did, given how talented he was.
Yeah, and I said that.
Clearly plays where it made sense to hand Jarquez the ball, and Jarquez didn't touch the ball on those plays.
Let me tell you this. By the numbers, Jarquez Hunter was beside RJ Harvey, right? Like, who averaged 6.8 yards per carry. Ashton Genty averaged 7 yards per carry. And then there was a group of 3 running backs at 6.4 yards per carry, and Jarquez Hunter was one of them. He was in an elite group of running backs when it came to yards per carry. He was almost an automatic first down every 2 times you gave him the football. And he only had 187 carries, which is crazy.
Yeah, there was games he didn't carry no more than 15 times.
Dude, UCF had the same issue with RJ Harvey. This dude was he was so automatic. You were a 4-8 football team, and somehow of the top 10 running backs in yards in college football that year, he had the fewest amount of carries. They only 202 carries. When you go look at those other guys were up well north of 250, 300, 350. They were getting the ball, man. And so I just want to say, like, here again, I understand everything Cole said made sense in a very technical way, but it completely ignores, I thought his rant completely ignored the university's culpability and why those players did not produce while they were here.
It lacked nuance.
It lacked a lot of nuance. And so if you're a fan, I'm sorry, man. I'm not buying. I'm not buying why you're pretending not to understand why fans are freaking out over losing players with the level of talent that those guys had. So if you're sitting here
and the prior, sorry to cut you off, and the prior head coach, that was his whole talking point for giving him time.
Right. You got sold that for a whole 3 years.
Yeah.
You got to raise the level of talent. So we believe that those guys were talented. So yes, Cole, I am as a fan, I am freaking out over losing to Cam Coleman, because where are the other Cam Colemans in Auburn history?
And my thing is this: it is delusional to not freak out if Texas is celebrating.
Right.
It's delusional to
they
not
know what they got
or downplay these guys when Ole Miss is celebrating.
Yeah.
Like, if Ole Miss was like Deuce Knight, then maybe you can get away with saying, right? They're not saying that, Mike.
Yeah, they're not saying that.
They're not saying that. So it is what it is. It's a loss. It's an L that Auburn has to hold. And Auburn fans, what you're seeing is a lot of Auburn fans expressing their frustration over losing guys that the administration wanted to keep.
Yeah, and let me tell you something, and we know that because of the money that they put on the table for those two guys to stay. Right. Like, but however, again, moving forward, if, like I said, we started this talking about, and I want to say, I respect Cole, and you know, he's
ran the show. He's been on. This is not a Cole
he knows ball. Cole knows ball, right? But you know, when we're talking, but this is I think the conversation is less about knowing ball and more about, you know, where the fan base is at in terms of what they've been asked to do, what they've been sold,
right,
and where it's landed. Because you know what, you're a fan, you have every right to freak out because you've shown up. You didn't stop coming to games. You didn't stop buying tickets. You didn't stop watching. All those people stayed invested. I think it's a little disrespectful to the fans that you need to show up, that you're asking to show up, that are constantly being asked to sacrifice for a losing product. So I don't understand the need to say that. Like I don't understand the need to say that. Look, because
but again, I agreed with some of his comments though. I agreed with, and I understood what he was trying to get to. Again, having nuance. I understand because he talked about having a loser mentality, right? And freaking out over those things. I agree, but here's the thing. Again, this is why conversations like these are so important, Mike. Mm-hmm. I agree that Auburn fans shouldn't have a loser mentality, but Auburn hasn't been winning in half a decade.
Yeah, it's been a really, really long time.
so the the morale of the fan base isn't really that high based on the results on the field. Yeah. So you have to consider that in this conversation as well. I could just call it PTSD. Auburn fans, in fairness, Mike, have been through a lot these past 5 years. Ever since Gus Malzahn has been let go, the Auburn fan has been giving. They have gone. The analogy I give, Mike, is they have gone to Guthrie's and got a box full of coleslaw. That is Auburn fans' experience in a nutshell.
There's some coleslaw fans in the comments.
They have nothing already. Coleslaw, no chicken, no fries, just coleslaw. That's been Auburn fans. So can we give Auburn fans a little bit of a reprieve that they've been through a lot and acknowledge their PTSD?
Yeah, man. Look, they've been traumatized. I've been traumatized. You've been traumatized. This has been a really, really kind of long road through this since firing Gus. I stand by the decision to move on from Gus. But I think that with Alex Golesh here now, if we've truly solved the coaching part of this, I would have loved to have seen what Alex Golesh could have done with Cam and Byron Brown together. Mm-hmm. I think that truly would have been prolific. And I know from talking with folks on that staff that they thought that they would have made them the number one QB wide receiver tandem in the country next year. You couldn't sell it to Cam though. They couldn't sell it to Cam. And I want this, if you found your guy in Byron Brown and the floor has effectively raised, then this should look markedly different starting game one, because they're really bullish on their system. Ike has talked about this, in terms of how Golesh talks about his offensive acumen. He believes in the system and he believes in himself. I want to go back to the list here, and we're going to bring Ike Jones in here. He was on the road here. If you're wondering why we got started late, again, there was a lot of things going on today, but we're here with you guys on a Sunday. Let's get to the list back real quick, and then we're going to bring Ike in. So, at quarterback, Tristan Tia from Oregon State. I want to talk about that one. Lachlan Hewlett, I think, is a redshirt freshman that will be coming in here. At running back, Nakai Davenport, Tay Meadows, Bryson Washington. This was a very interesting pickup to me. This dude decided to switch jerseys before the game in Atlanta. He said, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and defect before this one, because I saw what y'all did to us last year, and I won't be on the other side. And then a group at wide receiver that is very, very USF heavy. So let's bring Ike in here. Let's bring Ike in here. Ike Jones, welcome. You were on the road. I brag on you a lot for being on the road. We're going to talk basketball in the second half of the show, but we're talking about Auburn's roster and whether or not they achieved what they needed. Did they hit their goals in the roster? 39 players, I believe, Caesar, was the number that they brought in through the portal. And look, is it time to get excited about what they're potentially going to do with this roster? Did they hit every offensive line? There was a lot to fill there. And, we talked about, what's his face? His name just went out of my head. We were just talking about him. He's the offensive lineman that they missed on that we felt like they should have gotten.
Oh, you're talking about DeAndre Robinson.
I really, really wanted him. Your overall thoughts on this roster now that it's kind of come into focus a little bit.
I mean, I think it's good. I like the depth pieces that they've added. I like the fact that they have tried to get a lot of variety in there. It's a lot of tight ends, a lot of running backs. I'm surprised at the number of tight ends and running backs that are a part of this roster class. But I think it shows a clear direction of where they want their competitions to be. And I think it shows a clear direction of where their priorities were in terms of, like, you see how many linebackers they added. They felt good about the linebacker room.
Yeah.
Right. Quarterbacks. I mean, there's a lot of potential there. There's not a lot of production outside of Byron Brown, so that's a wait and see piece. But I do like the wide receiver additions, and I do like the depth of what they brought in both tight end and offensive line rooms.
I think we missed a quarterback on our list. No, I'm not sure we missed a quarterback on our list. Did we miss a quarterback on our list? Because a lot of the talk will be about
the new guy that they brought in from ULM. I think was that on there?
The guy, but he's playing tight end, right? Like he played quarterback, but he's going to be tight end.
He played quarterback, but he's recruited to be a tight end.
Yeah, that's the only other quarterback other than the true freshman that was.
Maybe we didn't. I think we had him under the tight end section. But who's going to back up Byron Brown?
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be Tia based upon, again, I think there's where your competition is, right? Like
maybe Lachlan Hewlett. I mean, Lachlan Hewlett has a say in this, I think.
Yeah, I mean, that's where the spring competition is. It's for QB2, who's going to be the person that will be his backup because it's Brown's thing. And listen, this is where I am disappointed in Deuce Knight leaving because he clearly would have been in the front. He would have been the front runner for QB2. And he still has less snaps and experience than the guys that would be in the room right now.
Yeah.
But I think from a talent standpoint, if he wanted to be able to compete, that would have been a really good competition for him to go into. But, and then if things work out the way that Ole Miss wants, he's still not going to be QB1 over there. So, it is what it is at this point.
Yeah, it definitely is an interesting math for Auburn here. Pretty close to the break here, so I do want to go back here. Caesar, offensive line was the other area of extreme need for Auburn. So this will be a new look offensive line. What do you think about the guys that they brought in there? A few USF guys. Again, there's a heavy USF flavor to this transfer portal class. And look, man, I'm not necessarily against it. In that first offseason, you are working on an extremely truncated timetable, guys. And you've got to go out and you're behind the 8 ball. You're always behind the 8 ball. And you don't have a second portal window anymore.
So real quick, while this is up, we do want to point out, because someone will point this out, the defensive line consists of the remaining offensive linemen. There, those are all offensive linemen: Stanton Ramil, Jack Layer, TJ Hedrick, Jacob Strand.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just FYI, we can talk. We will mention some of the defensive linemen because I do want to point them out. Again, I think from a quantity standpoint, Mike, you needed bodies in that room, and they went out and got as many bodies as you can possibly get out of the portal. Which, for the record, I'm impressed with how they were able to address the number of bodies that they needed for that room. Again, the question remains on the actual quality of the offensive lineman. I think who some of your starters are going to be. I think Simmons is absolutely going to be Joe Simmons is going to be a starter. People are talking about Stanton Ramil. I know people have questions on him, but he projects to be a starter. Cole Best, he is a very experienced guy in Alex Golish's system. He's the QB along that offensive line. I expect him to be a starter in that room. And so that leaves you with competition at your guard position. And you got a lot of bodies, man.
Right.
In that room. So again, I think when all is said and done, scheme has to help out this room a lot. We saw that when there was a clear course of direction towards the end of the season when Hugh Freeze was fired, a lot of the issues and problems we were seeing as far as QB pressures and sacks that began to go down, and offensive line started to look a little bit better. You have to hope that scheme helps out this room a lot as well, even though you have a lot of new faces and trying to get guys to gel. So again, I think time will tell on whether or not the quality of that room, but I am pleased to see that Auburn went from 3 up to like 15, 16, 17 guys in that room. That makes me feel better about that room. Defensive line, again, I like who we brought in, Cody Sigler. Walter Mathis was big pickup, very big pickup. I was happy about him. I think we got some guys along that line. Again, I like the St. Ferrier. If he is who they hope he is, he's just going to be a big guy in the middle, just taking up double teams and just clogging up the middle, making it difficult for running backs to run through the gaps, run through the holes there. So I like some of the guys that they brought in. Again, we already, no longer to belabor the point, but we talked about some of the misses along the defensive line. I would feel a lot better about that line if you had got that guy from North Carolina. But again, the guys that they brought in, again, you replace some bodies there. Quality. I'm waiting to see how quality these guys are.
Yeah. Just FYI on the graphic, the AI went kind of rogue on the categories on the players there. We tried to put together a graphic really quickly before we started to have a visual for our listeners. Look, they wide receivers again is going to be the other area of focus. So we've talked about quarterback, we've talked about offensive line, but wide receiver, Keyshawn Singleton, seemingly going to be the leader of that group. Is there anybody else at wide receiver you're excited about potentially that's going to be a playmaker here? Like, when Byron Brown drops back and he has to have a play, who's he looking for? And some people are going to be like, well, the open guy. Okay, yeah, but sometimes when you need a play, you're throwing the ball to the playmaker, to the guy you know is most likely going to be open because he's going to run the route. He's always going to be where he's supposed to be. Is that guy Keyshawn Singleton?
Yeah, I mean, the Singleton is probably option number one, but Coger's probably the other one that I like on that room just because of his size and speed. And again, I mentioned the tight ends a couple of times. They've got some really good tight ends. The guy that they brought in that was at Florida his freshman year, I think it's Boardingham is his name. He was initially at Florida and he went somewhere. I can't even remember where he went after that, but then he's just got onto the Auburn roster. I liked what I saw from him when his freshman season at Florida as a big body tight end receiver type. So there's the good thing that I like about this wide receiver room is that there's probably an embarrassment, honestly. Like, I know everybody was in love with the wide receiver room because of the 5-star, 4-star caliber guys that were in there under Hugh Freeze. This room's pretty damn good. Like don't sleep on the star rating of what they had out of high school. And listen, if you're Green Name Gang, I will definitely get some tape for these guys for you all. But they've got some players in this room that can just go make plays, right? They might not have the can't miss star quality of a Cam Coleman, but they absolutely have the playmaking ability of a Cam Coleman in this system.
But Ike, if we're scheming guys open now, then perhaps the gap.
Well, I mean, even if it's not a scheme, though, what I mean is he's not open, but he's open. They've got some of those guys where it's like, let me just go throwing the ball. They'll go get it.
You look at their measurables; it looked very similar to who left out the room. I
think that when this season starts, people are going to realize how poorly coached this team was and how bad the play calling was the last 3 years. No, I've been screaming it. I had been screaming it.
I think they already know. Well, like we picked that up at Vandy.
Yeah. I've been screaming it since year one. I felt like they actively were coaching guys down in that first year, and then they scapegoated the talent, and then just kept talking about how we need to recruit. Well, they went out and did that, and the results never got any better. In terms of wins and losses, it never got any better, and we know the talent got better. So what am I left to look at but to say, hey, you didn't know what you were doing. So yeah, this is going to be an ongoing conversation, but we're going to get to the break, and we're going to turn the page, and we're going to celebrate Auburn basketball, fellas. And not only are we going to celebrate it, we are going to get a first-hand account of Stephen Pearl going into Florida and taking belt-to-ass. Ike Jones was on the ground for us. And I got to tell you, I called me, and I could hear in the background, I was like, oh, man, dude, it's hype as shit in there right now. But
we'll talk about it on the break. Yeah.
So, hey, real quick, Mike. You know the meme where you see like the kid beating the other kid and the kid behind with the phone? Like, that's Ike with the phone, like watching all.
Oh, man, I can't wait to hear this. So I know we did a post game, but we're going to talk about this again. This is your weekend tailgate. Guys, do us a favor. Share this on social media at the War Report. # get your weight up. Like and subscribe on the YouTube channel. Help us continue. We gained a lot of followers this fall. We want to continue that here in terms of subscribers this offseason at the War Report on X and Instagram, TW Report on TikTok. Let's pay some bills. And when we come back, Auburn basketball. It's time to talk about it.
This edition of the War Report is brought to you by our generous sponsors. Golden's Cast Iron. Whether you work out, grill out, or chill out, you deserve the best life possible, and Golden's Cast Iron is here to provide the tools to help you do it. Check them out at goldenscastiron.com.
The Rage Room. The Rage Room is a place where anger and stress find their ultimate release. Set up a session today at one of the 2 great locations in Opelika or Birmingham by visiting opelikaRageRoom.com or BirminghamRageRoom.com.
This episode of the War Report is brought to you by our friends at Abel's Iron Ore Moore & Associates. You don't need a big balance to get big advice. At Abel's Iron Ore Moore & Associates, there's no minimum to start your initial portfolio review. It's completely complimentary. Whether you're just starting to invest, a do-it-yourself investor, or in the final stages of planning for retirement, Amos Fiduciary Advisors will meet you where you are. No sales pitch, no pressure, just honest guidance. Call AMA at 912-777-4128. Scan the QR code on your screen or visit AIMAINC.com. It costs nothing and could change everything. The War Report has been compensated by Abel's Iron Ore Moore & Associates for this endorsement. AMA is a SEC registered investment advisor. Registration as an investment advisor does not imply a certain level of skill or training. I want to thank our friends at Sky Tobacco and Vape. If you've ever run out of vape juice and felt like it was dire need, well, Sky Tobacco and Vape has you covered all over Columbus and Phoenix City. They've got more locations than the Waffle House down here, guys. So whether you're on 280 bypass, cruising up Airport Thruway, or maybe you're on Victory Drive, Sky Tobacco and Vape is probably right around the corner from where you're at. They've got vapes, tobacco, and deals so good you'll swear they misprinted the price tags. Sky Tobacco and Vape, great deals, good prices, and zero judgment if you walk in at 10 p.m. wearing your pajama pants. I want to thank our friends at the Rogue Shop. Visit rogueshop.com. Use code REPORT to get 15% off your Rogue Shop order. Again, code REPORT to make sure that they know that the War Report sent you. Check us out on podcast, guys. All the podcast platforms, we are there bringing you lots of great audio-only content. So no matter where you listen to your podcast, we are there. Subscribe, turn on automatic downloads, and if you feel like it, leave us a review. It helps us out on that side greatly. And last but certainly not least, check us out at thewarreport.com to see all our written work as well as our merch store. You guys have been buying this stuff up. We want that to continue. This is a great way to support our work as well. Let's jump back into the conversation. Auburn basketball went down to Florida and got what I think might be the biggest win of the Stephen Pearl era so far. These are the defending national champs. Ike and I, we were in San Antonio.
It's not even close. That is by far.
It is the best. It's it, right? Yeah. I mean, Ike was there, so he got a chance. I'm gonna give him the floor here in a second. He got a chance to see it live and really get a feel for how historic this was for Auburn to go down there and get the win. But ultimately, Auburn basketball in dire need of a signature win. The SEC schedule starting. I think this moved up to what, 3-3 in conference now.
4-3.
4-3 now. 4-3. Yeah, this is big. It's a huge win. It's a huge win for them. And this is a super talented team. However, talented doesn't always equal wins. So starting to get the dubs in, definitely going to be very important for them. The final score was 76-67. Did Auburn win? Some key stats here before I turn it over to Ike. Auburn shot 33% from three in this one, 48% from the field overall. They won. They lost the total rebound battle by 7 rebounds. And they lost all on offensive and defensive boards. Not a ton of second chance points in this one, only 10 points from the bench. So this was about the starters, especially Keyshawn Hall probably had a game of games in the first half, slowed down in the second half, but Auburn found enough points to win the game. 14 points on fast breaks. They turned in 3 blocks, 9 steals, 8 assists, and they only spent 1 minute and 45 seconds tied in this game. So it was a good back and forth, but Auburn led for most of it. As a matter of fact, on the official score sheet, said Auburn led this game for 37 minutes and 19 seconds. They were up big at some point. Florida made a run, as you should expect in conference play, but the Tigers held them off, man, and I was impressed with their ability to be able to stave off the runs by Florida and really close down the stretch. Ike, you were there, man. Give us your thoughts on this one and what stood out in this win to you. Has Auburn basketball turned the corner maybe into finding their identity this year as a team under Stephen Pearl?
Turn the corner. So let me say this. This is starting to look like what a Stephen Pearl coach team should look like, which is gritty defensive effort, because they made Florida uncomfortable the vast majority of this game. Really, the last 3 games in which Auburn has won, it's been the defense that's done the job. It's been the defense that have made the offenses on the other side not get the kind of looks that they want to get, be tenacious to shut down them having a lot of second chance opportunities. And in the passing lanes, showing them bodies, like they're doing all the things that you expect from a coach in Stephen Pearl, who is a defensive coach, to do with his teams. They're starting to figure out, this is what we got to do to win games. We're not going to be more talented than you and go win. The collective group of us out there on the court moving in unison defensively is going to make it really tough on these other teams. And they did that for Florida. I mean, it's probably one of the best defensive performances they've had all season.
It was a pretty complete game, yeah.
Built like the other team. The difference in why this, to me, is what you said, the biggest win. This is the kind of team everybody said Auburn can't beat. They're undersized to them. Florida's got monsters in the
monsters. Yeah.
Their front line is 4 dudes. 3 or 4 of them probably are going to be playing in the NBA. 3 or 4, and the 4th one will be a pro. If like all 4 of them will play professional basketball in some form or fashion in the next 12 months, right? If they don't decide to be like Alabama and go play pro and then come back, then they're done at Florida. But that's neither here nor there. But I just had to throw that shot.
I like the shot. I like it.
While I was in the neighborhood, you know what I'm saying? But you've got those guys as a front line. And I'm not looking at the stats, but I think you said 6 was the deficit of rebounds in this game.
7. Yeah, they out-rebounded Auburn 39-32.
One of the best rebounding teams in the country. You only lost that deficit by 7 boards at their crib. That's effort, man. And this is why I said at the very beginning of the season, I'll rewind to something I said earlier that people tried to give me grief about. This Auburn team is not losing games because they don't have size. They're losing it because they're not playing with the correct effort and the right execution. When they have the effort and the execution, you can see the results. Win or lose that game, they played it the right way. They came out on the right side of it because they gave that effort for the vast majority of the game.
Yeah.
But you're going to get dubs when you play like that because you have enough talent. You're not going to be the most talented team on the court every night. You have enough talent that if you play with the right energy and effort, you're going to win basketball games because you got closers offensively and you've got guys from an athleticism standpoint that can switch 1 through 5. So it makes it really tough to run action when nobody's open all the time.
And then to me, I think that was the frustrating part, Ike, about when Auburn went on the road to Missouri after beating up on Arkansas, is you saw the effort, you saw them get up for that game, and then they come back the next week, and it's like, I don't recognize this team. And in the back of my mind, and I pointed this out in the post game, is the letdown coming after playing up for nearly 40 minutes in a game on the road against the defending national champions? Is a letdown coming with this team because it's difficult to duplicate that level of execution, right, and effort? Like, is that coming, do you see, or is this team, to Mike's point, turning the corner in terms of an effort standpoint?
So as long as they continue to buy in defensively, I think you can say they've turned a corner, because if we're being honest, the offense still hasn't been great. Keyshawn Hall was amazing in the first half, but everybody not named Keyshawn Hall was just okay. It started really hot for them. I think they made like their first like 10 or 11 shots, shot amazing from the free throw line. Only missed one free throw the whole game. Again, I'm not looking at the stats. I'm just trying to remember what I was seeing out there. So if you're going to play defense like that, then yeah, you've turned a corner, because you're going to give yourself a shot in every game. And you just need Tahad Pettiford doesn't have to have a great game, but he's going to come up with 2 clutch floaters at the end to help cement the deal, right? Yeah. Keyshawn Hall only scores 2 points in the entirety of the second half, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
The one bucket he made was late in the game when they needed it.
Major. Yeah.
Right? So if you have that ability to keep yourself in a puncher's distance and you've got enough punchers on your team, yeah, you're in a good spot to be able to make a run.
Yeah, Keyshawn Hall, 7 of 10 for 22 points in the first half, 5 of 5 from the free throw line. In the second half, he only shot 1 free throw, and he was 1 of 7 from the field. So he wasn't jacking up threes. He only had 1 3 attempt in the second half. So, I mean, credit Florida for trying to, focus
Florida's
on
defense was amazing in the second half.
Yeah. They adjusted. They adjusted after he got off. And so you needed other guys to step up and make plays. I like Ike's point about the timeliness of buckets from guys. When you needed it to stop a run by Florida, when you needed it to stay ahead, to not crumble on the road. So, look, man, Bruce Pearl had a lot of issues with Todd Golden. So this is a big win for Stephen Pearl.
Yeah.
To beat Todd Golden and to log a solid Q1 win. I think Auburn is 4-6 in quad 1 games now after that win. So, you're building a tournament resume right now. And we've had the discussion about what the tolerance will be based on investment for this coach and what he was handed to missing the tournament in year 1. I personally don't. It's gonna be hard. I think it's gonna be hard for him. And so this is. If you're on the bubble, wins like this, make sure that the committee has a lot to think about before they shut you out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. Yeah. Like, so this is a game that potentially keeps you on the right side of the bubble come Selection Sunday.
And let's be clear, this Florida team's not as good offensively. They don't have Walter Clayton out there able to put dagger threes in at the late portions of games.
You don't have Janai Broom.
Yeah, my point is that people will try to point to, Florida's about this Florida team was one of the hottest teams in the country coming into this game.
Yeah,
they beating teams up.
They started out slow and they had started getting hot going into this game.
They were beating teams up prior to this game, so it's not like they limped into this. They were looking like one of the best teams in the country, man.
Yeah, they beat Georgia at home, Tennessee at home, Oklahoma on the road, Vandy, number 10 Vandy on the road, LSU at home, and then eventually fell to Auburn here, this weekend. Auburn's upcoming schedule They're Texas. Texas comes to Neville here on Wednesday. So I'll be in the house for that one. Then they're at Tennessee. Then Alabama comes to Neville, and then they've got Vanderbilt in Neville, and then they've got Arkansas. They're at Arkansas. So these next 5 games are tough. 3 of them solidly top 20 teams right now. You needed to get this one. You needed to get this one right now, because right now, instead of trying to find your footing and regroup, you're on a 3-game heater right now if you're Auburn, with Texas coming to Neville. It's a completely different vibe with getting this game. It's so important here. Now Auburn is 13-7. I think I asked you this on another segment, but I just want to make sure I get you on the record about what you think it's going to take for this team to make the tournament. Caesar, I want you to weigh in on this one after is a 20-win Auburn team, is a 20-win Auburn team in the tournament? Is a 19-win Auburn team in the tournament? Is 18 mean you're out? Like, what do you think here?
I think with the resume Auburn has, 18 gets them in. Probably a bubble team, but like they're in. If you get to 20, it'd be criminal to leave them out. Like, unless the losses were Mississippi State, and no disrespect to Mississippi State, but they're one of the worst teams in the league. LSU, right? Like, you're going to have to lose to the worst teams on your schedule. But if you do that, that means you probably beat some of the better teams on your schedule as well. And you got to 20 wins. So I listen, it's going to be tough to keep an 18 at this point win team Auburn out of here, because they've got such a good resume. Like, they have, I think they were saying during this game, top 5 strength of schedule in the country right now.
Yeah, and that's what's keeping Auburn in it. Like, is their strength of schedule up to this point. The non-conference has helped them a ton. Beating St. John's was very important going into this. And I think I read somewhere where they were moving off of the bubble prior to beating Florida. Like, people was loving the win.
I don't even understand.
Let's
be clear. I don't get why they were on the bubble. That. Like, I think that was criminal. I understand how badly they got beat by Arizona, Purdue, and Michigan. Sure. I was at every one of those games, so I get it. But you're ignoring the fact that they had a gauntlet to run through to play those teams, right? And I don't know, being on the bubble with their record, it felt a little silly to me. But then you go and you beat Florida. Get this bubble talk out of here right now, right? Like, and they've got plenty of games left this season to be able to move themselves off of that. So it's not like you have to freak out about a bubble in the end of January, because you got a month and a half left of season. But I thought that was kind of silly.
And losses are piling up for a lot of teams in the SEC. It's not like there's 6-7 teams ahead of us with 2-3 losses. No, it's a lot of 5-6 losses.
A&M is the number 1 team in the league right now, and they've robbed Auburn of that win.
Yeah,
they absolutely robbed.
And it makes you wonder what could have been if Auburn had not got robbed. Like, you know what I mean? Just one more dub.
Yeah, just one more. But it didn't sink your season. Fellas, it didn't sink your season. And what Stephen Pearl said after that game was, he told the fellas, are we going to cry about it, or are we going to get back to work? We have to get back to work. I really like his process. I want people to understand that in terms of how he operates day to day, he is fundamentally different from his dad, especially in the later years of Bruce Pearl. Now, I can't speak to how Bruce was when he was at Tennessee. I assume, I don't know, and that'd be something I'd be interested to ask Stephen when I get a chance to talk to him next, is, the kind of the evolution of Bruce from Tennessee to Auburn, and the type of coach that he became in his final years at Auburn. But for a coach who knocked on the door of a championship multiple times and then decided to retire before he got it, I don't know, man. I think Stephen Pearl has a chance to achieve some things that his dad did not. Personally, and that's no knock to Bruce. But I think that Stephen Pearl has the opportunity and the acumen to go beyond what his dad did in terms of what he accomplishes here. He's going to take his lump.
I don't think that's a crazy statement to make, because I think he's starting from a better place than Bruce was, right? Like, you got to think about the Auburn team Bruce Pearl inherited. Really, the Tennessee program that Bruce Pearl inherited. Now, not to say that Auburn as a team was great. But they're not the Auburn team that Bruce Pearl inherited. Now they're not the Auburn team that Bruce Pearl left, right? Like he didn't inherit Janai Broome and that Final Four caliber team, but he also didn't inherit. I don't even remember the guys the first year that were on that Auburn team. Like it's a far cry from that. And I think
Anthony Mason's son on that first team. Didn't he? You remember
who?
Anthony Mason, the late Anthony Mason.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I think his son was on that first team. Like he was pulling people.
Yeah.
So like the fabric, I think, of the Auburn program is very different now. And he's, and I think him having to figure it out in this way in his first year and not really just being handed a Final Four caliber team and people say, oh, the only reason he's winning is because his dad, like he got left a mess and he's figuring out in that mess. If he figures it out with the mess he got left, and then you go and you put like some talent sprinkled in with that, yeah, you absolutely have the ability, because look at the coaches he's beat already.
Yeah.
He's not beating scrub coaches. Like you're talking about coaches that coached in championships, coaches that have won championships, coaches that have been to final. He's already got them on his resume. He's beat coaches his dad never beat.
But you can't have this conversation without talking about the challenge of taking a whole new group of guys and getting them to play as one on a short timetable. Right? I mean, this is part of what has always been kind of, I think, a challenge in college basketball for the teams that have won championships is that you could turn your whole roster, your whole starting five over every year, which is crazy. Every year, you got a whole new starting five that you're having to. And so what I loved about NIL was it was potentially going to keep rosters together a little bit longer instead of these guys. Every time you get a stud, he's off to the NBA. How many years did we have Jabari Smith?
One
year. How many years did we have Isaac Okoro?
One. No, was it just 1 year for Okoro? Golly, man.
How many years did we have Sharif Cooper?
Half of one.
Right.
Like, come on, man. These I'm talking about. Look at these names, man. Where you once you got to after that Final Four, when they really started capitalizing on bringing in NBA type guys, they're off to the NBA after 1 year. Walker Kessler and Janai Broome, like getting Janai to play multiple years here, felt like hitting the lottery.
Yeah.
Getting Tahad to come back another year, again, feels like hitting the lottery because every point we've had before him just jumped after 1 year. I'm saying that to underscore that I think that's a notch on Stevens' belt, man.
Yeah, man. Listen.
Tahad had to choose to come back to play for Steven.
Put some respect on Steven's name, bro. As of today, January 25th, put some respect on his name. I don't know what the end of this 100%. Season is going to be, but I think he's earned enough respect to like stop with the unfair, premature criticisms that he's gotten. This is a tough ask. And he's handling it, man. Like he is
like a G.
He's holding guys accountable.
Yes.
And he's putting game plans together. Shout out to his staff, right? I know it's not just him by himself, but like if you're going to give him all the blame, you got to give him credit too. They're putting game plans. The game plan that they went and executed versus Florida, they said, all right, I get it. Ruben Chinyelu, some people think he might be the defensive player of the year, right? Might, if not in the country, then in the SEC. We're going to put him on an island versus Keyshawn Hall. Figure it out, Ruben.
Yeah.
And Keyshawn Hall went out there and put that man in the hurt locker.
Yeah.
They purposefully put the best defensive player in the conference one-on-one versus Keyshawn Hall and said, our guy versus your guy, go figure it out. and won.
Win-win. I take this back.
I do want to ask Ike a quick question, Mike. The situation with Magwood, like I would like to see Hyde get some help.
Man, Hyde is
What's
struggling,
going
man.
on?
Yeah.
He needs some time off the court to like.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's going on with Magwood? I see some chatter about Magwood, and for the record, Todd Pettiford played 36 minutes yesterday, so he was on the court for quite some time. Yeah, what are you seeing there with Magwood?
It's just it was disciplined stuff to begin with, and I think he just kind of stepped over a couple of lines in the way he approached some things. It wasn't anything crazy with the staff, but he just, he was being a young kid that was turned up a little bit. And again, Stephen Pearl's letting everybody know nobody's bigger than
the program.
rules.
Yeah.
There's not a rule that you get to just because you can hoop that you get to just step aside. Like, no, there's nobody. He benched to Hyde. He's willing to bench the first game of the SEC season. To Hyde Pettiford came off the bench. Nobody's bigger than this, bro. I don't care if you were supposed to be in the NBA. Like, show up when you're supposed to show up. Do what you're supposed to do, or you will watch somebody else have your minutes. And so that's what's going on with Magwood right now. And Magwood is a guy who he was still trying to figure it out, but to the point, like, I'm like, all right, man, he done enough. Like, let's what was this when they were fighting after he tried to take his cornbread, and that's all he's like, yeah, taking enough beating, come on. Like,
right.
Like,
yeah, this I think we've got I think there are going to be a lot of great conversations around Auburn basketball here coming. We're going to get to some comments here before we get out of here, but before we do, a great win. Did want to ask you about the post game here and Stephen Pearl's tone after the post game. I know you got a question in, but anything interesting coming out of that real quick for our listeners?
I mean, nothing that you probably haven't seen floating around. I think the biggest thing that he said that I acknowledge to be 100% true is if this game had happened a couple of weeks ago, Auburn doesn't win this game. They've shown maturity in their ability to not fall like completely apart when the other team. Because listen, man, again, I've been to every road game so far this year. Outside of Arizona, which was a raucous environment, this was the best environment for basketball that I've been to this season.
Okay.
That crowd was absolutely electric. The entire, like, before the game started, all the way up until it was evident Auburn was going to win, that Florida crowd was amazing. Like, shout out to the basketball fans in Gainesville, because that was a great basketball environment, and Auburn went in there and earned that. Because when Florida tied that game up, you couldn't hear yourself think in that place.
Wow.
And I was like, oh my goodness, bro, are they really about to just let them do this? And once they tied the ball game up, I think Florida made 2 shots after that for the last 6 minutes.
Yeah.
They locked back in.
Yeah. They're just like, nah, bro, we worked too hard to get here. Let's just go and finish the job. And they did.
And that's why I want to buy into the fact that they turned the corner, like, against that team and that environment in that situation. That's hard to go. You can't ignore that. Like, that's maturity and growth.
Speaking of fans who showed up to Florida, Dustin Pace says him and his brother Tristan went to the game and met Ike. He was super gracious enough to give them a picture, so he appreciates that. We appreciate you for taking the time to say hi. Decan Lay gave 10 War Report memberships. We appreciate that. Calvin Peterson, 8706, says War Eagle Auburn family. Thank you for that. Teresa Vigil says, was wondering if there was going to be a live today, but why now watching my Seahawks? Again, some things going on here with the weather. I don't know if y'all heard, but Atlanta was acting like it was going to be the end of the world here because they were going to get some ice today. Some of that came through here. So we're here with you guys, though. We didn't want to neglect you guys on a Sunday. NH Barn Booster says Auburn had a playoff roster this past season. Proved me wrong. Speaking of football.
I don't think that's crazy from a talent standpoint.
Good
Yeah,
ad.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree. And when you factor in the games where they really got screwed, Georgia, Oklahoma, it was God, man. I'm telling you, they had 2 games that were stolen from them last season, certainly. And the SEC in both the aforementioned games came out and announced that the refs were wrong and punished and suspended in some of those situations. The Cantlay says, been promised a 5-course meal, barely got an app, and no dessert. I'm starving. Speaking of Auburn football, agreed. Aptly put. He also says, glad to see Auburn basketball get themselves together and need to get that to be the norm. They're working on it. Stephen Pearl is not as good a coach as he's going to be yet. He's learning. He's learning. And when you hire a young coach in the situation that John Cohen decided to go this direction, I think that you have to accept that he's going to take some lumps in his journey to becoming the coach that he's going to be. So something players develop, but coaches do as well too. And I think that I've gotten to know Stephen Pearl on a personal level in a way that I never got to know Bruce Pearl, and I can tell you he's very, very, very open to learning and adapting and adjusting. So I like that. I like that about anybody in any walk of life.
Are you saying that no coach has it completely figured out in year 1 of their coaching career?
Yeah, I know that's a crazy statement. That's a crazy statement to make, but God, it feels like some of the fans need to hear that. I don't know. Yeah, it's crazy that we have to say that, but look, I get that I get the standard is what it is, but also you hired him understanding that this was going to be part of the process, that he was going to have to grow up some on the job. They're doing it in real time. And he told us earlier this season, fellas, he said, I know y'all don't want to hear about patience, so we're going to fix it now. Now meaning this season. That was after a loss. I think that was after a win. They won and it didn't look good. And he said, look, man, these things don't look good. And if we don't fix them, we're gonna get beat. So I'm gonna fix it now. I like the urgency. He's not waiting on his next big recruit. He's not waiting on some NIL dollars.
That's what I think I love the most about the embrace of, listen, I know we can be better right now with this collection of players. I get it. We don't have that team that went to the Final Four last year. That doesn't mean that what you guys saw today is where we need to be tomorrow. So that sucked. We're going to go get back to work and figure out how to make it better. Not, man, you give me a couple more guys in here and, we can see. No. This collection of 12, we're going to hoop better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Words.
Stephen Pearl is going to win a national championship at Auburn. Mark my words.
Right.
Stephen Pearl is going to win a national championship at Auburn. I believe in his process. I believe in his way of doing it. And again, that's not a knock to his dad's way of doing it, but they are different people. I'm telling you, they are different people. They may be alike in some ways because he learned under his dad, but in terms of how they manage and their approach, and right now, he's a different guy than the guy who's coaching his team, and I think that's going to pay off for Auburn in some ways. Doesn't mean one was worse than the other. I think it's different, but different maybe has different results. Because you know what? You got up to the door multiple times and couldn't get over. And maybe a little different in some areas get you over the hump. So Justin Pace comes back and says, John Summerall had the most AI-generated speech. LOL. Ike, you texted me something about this. I didn't know what you were talking about. Can you fill me in?
Awful.
I tried to tell y'all we got the right guy. I told y'all we got the right guy.
That speech was, I was just like, yo, this is painful right now. Like, it seemed as if somebody went and grabbed him from the athletic department 10 minutes before halftime, was like, Coach, we need you to come out here and come talk to the people. And he was like, what? Huh? Oh man, I was in the middle of taking a nap. What'd you say? And he just went out there and he started talking. And I was just like, bro, what the hell? What are you even trying to say right now?
Was this a scheduled?
We're gonna work really hard, just like the basketball team is. And Todd Golden, Good job. I'm like, man, shut your old goofy man. Shut up, dog. Like, I was just like, yo, get this clown, go somewhere else right now, bro. I did not, man. That was,
you know, it's
dog,
bad
it was
when he
terrible.
stops one word short of cursing. Make it so.
That jump was terrible, man. I was like, yo, this can't be.
That's how you know it's bad.
I'm hoping he didn't plan this. Like, I hope this wasn't something he had like on his agenda for weeks. And he was like, oh, I get to do the halftime speech at the Auburn game, and I'm supposed to be the Auburn coach. I'm finna go out there and kill him, bro. And he went out there and delivered that.
Yeah.
I hope this was last minute. They just went and grabbed him from somewhere and was like, hey, coach, real quick while we got you.
Yeah.
Because that junk was not it, man. That was not it.
May his offensive game plans in the month of September be equally as ill prepared. just go throw that out in the universe.
Especially in this weekend in Auburn. Yes, when they play us.
Thank you for bringing that up there, Dustin. Also, Auburn Brawl Star says, I love my girlfriend Sue more than I love football. All right.
Brownie points for you today with your girlfriend. Good job.
Yeah. Okay.
Make sure she sees this.
That has the stench of you're in the doghouse and you're trying to get out. Look, man, look what I commented on the show.
Flowers is still a good way to route the coast.
It's snowing. I can't get your flowers, but I got you a super chat on the War Report.
Yeah, maybe she watches the show. I mean, look, if that happens. War Eagle C says Auburn has the number 2 strength of schedule per Ken Palm.
I can believe it.
Yep. Abraham Belt 25 says, my guy's been following y'all for a minute. Proud of what the War Report has become. With Goalish transplanting his offense on the Plains, how fast do results show, especially paired with Durkin's defense? I think immediately. Sure. And when we say results, I mean compared to what we saw last year to start the season to what we see this year to start the season. I think it should be instant. That's what Goalish is selling.
You brought your quarterback, receivers, and offensive lineman, the tight end, and running back. You should be able to hit the ground running with that.
Talk to him.
I mean, some of the issues that Auburn had in terms of why the product looked the way that it did on Saturdays, I don't foresee that being an issue moving forward. So I expect better production offensively. So yes, instantly.
Yeah. NH Barn Booster says a lot of AU fans owe Pearl and team an apology. There was a high level of freak out. I would agree with this. There was a lot of crashing out on social media. Like they were just down. Like this was the worst hire ever. And people were going after John Cohen. I did not agree with any of that sentiment. I liked this move by John. And I thought it made a lot of sense, and I hope that it continues to make sense as those guys win basketball games. Auburn Dad for Life says, War Damn Eagle, War Poor Fam, and fellas finally beat Florida. Yes, I agree. It feels good to beat Florida. Stephen Finch says, was that supposed to be a petty shot at Auburn to have John Summerall on the court?
Again, if this was planned, disaster. It was awful. Like I am not exaggerating.
Let me tell you, we sent Goalish out at half court during the NC State game
because it was the first game after he got hired. This is like months. What are we doing?
Correct. Yes, this is my question. The timing. Why now? Why are you sending him out now? You had plenty of basketball games before this to send him out to give a little motivational speech. So it's not uncommon for a coach to do that at a basketball game. I was standing right next to Goalish when he went out after during the NC State at halftime. But to do it at this game, I agree. This felt like there could have been some petty Betty there. It's a little petty wop. So we'll see. Mr. Floppy Toppy says, why am I getting Justin Powell vibes with Magwood?
Justin Powell. I think number one, Justin Powell showed more before he was no longer there. This feels. What was the guy's name last year that was like Captain Crash Out that transferred out?
Yeah, that one guy. Yeah, what are we talking about? Tacho Bob.
This feels a little bit more like that.
Yeah.
Oh, him. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Aiden Holloway.
No,
No, not him. Not him.
Oh.
I'm
talking
talking
about
about
last year. You said last year for Auburn team?
yeah. The he transferred to Utah.
Oh, yes. You're talking about the guy who came
Ja'Kai
from
Howard.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
This feels a little more Ja'Kai Howard than it does Justin Powell.
Oh, Ja'Kai Howard.
Ja'Kai
Interesting.
Howard. Wow.
Yeah, he had some crash outs.
Yeah, he did. He did.
I don't think either one of those are real good, but okay. Decan Lay said gifted 10 more Rapport memberships. We appreciate that. Stephen Finch, I'm sorry about that. We got that one already. Stephen comes back and says, shout out to women's basketball. They played really good today.
Yeah, they did not get the win versus Oklahoma, but
No,
they had a tie ball game with about 6 something left in there, and couldn't close it out. But listen, again, you've got a coach, I think, that was dealt a bad hand coming into the season, and he's making the most of it. And he's got the team playing really tough. But I mean, stop me if you've heard it before. You've got a women's basketball team that is severely underfunded and playing really good defensive basketball, but just doesn't have enough offense to get wins versus the better teams on their schedule.
Yeah.
They're going to pull off an upset every now and then. They beat Bama the other day, right? But they don't have enough firepower for these games to be able to pull off these wins. But they're playing really tough, and hopefully they're going to be able to kind of put it together a little bit more. The offense is starting to come around a little bit for some of the ladies, and if they can do that more consistently, I think they'll be good because the defense has been really good.
2-5 right now. They are Auburn women's basketball in conference. South Carolina is up next. So again, they're probably going to get their shit kicked in on Thursday. But and then they follow that up with Ole Miss, Florida, LSU. I mean, it's a real stretch of basketball coming for these girls.
They've already beat Florida once this season, so
it's
going to be on the road this time. LSU is going to be a tough one. They probably only have about 3 more wins, honestly, left on this schedule based upon.
I don't see them making the tournament. I don't see them making the tournament. They would have to go on an epic run here.
Yeah.
But when we talk about women's basketball, and we're almost done here, so I just want to make sure that we get I get my thoughts out on this because I was very vocal. I was very vocal about it when Johnny Harris was the coach, and so I have not been able to cover as much women's basketball this season for health reasons, but I don't want people to feel like we're ignoring women's basketball. We certainly are not. We're Ike and I are in contact with Larry Vickers, and we understand what's happening with that program. What you're seeing is a very, very well-coached team that is severely limited by their resources and recruiting. At some point, you do hit a ceiling with the players that you have. And I think that people are starting to see that they're a well-coached team. A lot of the people who when Johnny was here, a lot of the folks who, when they got a big win, still weren't bought in, seemed to be bought in this go around with Larry Vickers that, hey, man, these girls are doing all they can to their ability to do so. But you need dogs, man. I mean, we talked about this in every other sport, but somehow a different standard gets applied to women's basketball because people don't follow the recruiting as closely, so they don't understand the talent gap truly between Auburn and the rest of the league in their starting 5. It's massive. Who would you say? Coulibaly is probably their best player?
All around, yeah.
Right? And when she's not on the court, good luck.
Yeah, I mean, Duhan probably has an argument there. She's just not as good offensively. I like from both ends of the floor. Duhan's definitely the energy and the engine, but Coulibaly's got the ability to score a little bit better, and she plays really good defense. But I mean, they've got really 7 role players and no alpha. Like they don't have that one just bucket. Like that's the one thing that Johnny Harris always had. She had that one player that could just go out and get buckets. I just don't think everybody after like 2 through 9 in that rotation with Coach Harris just weren't very good. Coach Vickers really has his 1 through 8 are better than all the 2 through 9s that Harris ever has. He just don't have that one. And I think if he can get that one player that helps to make everybody else better, then this team escalates really quickly because it changes the way people defend you.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, talking about having that one player that's a bucket right now. You know, Johnny Harris went to Baylor, and Talia Scott
Talia is hooping right now.
20.6 points per game right now in the Big 12. She's the Big 12 second leading scorer. And the other girl that followed her, Yuting Dang, is playing well. And I mean, she got girls to come here who were buckets for almost nothing on the NIL portion. It's not what she was pulling off miracles with the roster, but that's not that shouldn't have been an expectation. That should not be an expectation for any coach at a program where they actually expect wins.
Yeah.
That you are pulling off magic in recruiting. Give this man some dollars to go get some players. I think he's proven that if you give him better players, how much better would this team be? Yeah, but it can't be one of those things where they just expect him to improve next year, but the dollars don't go up at all in NIL. You need NIL money to compete in women's basketball now. That is the reality. So,
it's also criminal when it's your hire too, and you're not giving them the money. Like you can almost make an argument that Harris was not his hire, and he's bringing in someone that he believes in. We'll put the money where your belief is.
Yeah, this will be I like John Cohen. This will always be my one criticism of him when it comes to his women's basketball program, right? And I will change my tune if I see them go out and get Larry Vickers $1 million in NIL to play with next season. Give this dude $1 million. I bet you he'll be a top 4 or 5 team in the SEC next year.
I think if he had 500,000 this year, they'd be like he would have had a similar situation to what we're talking about, anticipating with Coach Golish. He'd have been able to bring, I think, a couple of his players over from his previous team, and they would have gotten off to a better start.
Yeah, just man, because some of them girls went elsewhere for money reasons. The coaching relationship was not enough for them to turn down the money to go to places like West Virginia and play ball. I don't get it, man. I don't get it at all. But again, they've got South Carolina, Ole Miss, Florida, LSU, really tough stretch of games coming. 2 on the road, 2 at home. South Carolina being at home on Thursday at 9 p.m. on SEC Network. So tune in if you want to see that one. We're going to close out with our last comment. I think you started this one, Caesar. What are our thoughts on Malik Blockton? You guys got thoughts on Malik?
Good ball player. I think he, hopefully he finds the reset that he wants and is massively successful in all but one game next season. Because wait a minute, he went to
LSU.
Yeah,
LSU. So basically, Auburn entered into a trade with LSU. They got Malik Blockton. Auburn got Walter Mathis.
Yeah. Well, look, let's go on and get out of here, guys. Auburn football almost just shy of 40 transfers in the portal. We'll see if there are any more late additions to the roster here, but for the most part, I think they're pretty set for the spring. So we'll see how Alex Golish and company develop those guys this spring, headed into the spring game. I hope that A-Day is very exciting. I can't wait to see Byron Brown throw in person. We'll see what kind of open practices we get with this staff. It's going to be fun to watch and cover. We'll be there for every second. And then Auburn basketball is going to be back in action this week. So we'll be covering every second of that too. Ike will be on the road again the next couple of weeks here, covering at Tennessee and a few others. So tune in, lock in with him on Twitter at TWR Ike Jones and with us at the War Rapport. So share this on social media, hashtag get your weight up. Hit like and subscribe on the channel, guys. We need your help to continue to grow this offseason. So share with a friend. You guys come up to me at the games. Let me know that you're watching this show. We appreciate that. Just make sure you're subscribing and make sure that you're watching. We appreciate that always. Follow us on X and Instagram, TW Rapport on TikTok. Before we get out of here, we want to thank our title sponsor, Golden's Cast Iron. Visit goldenscastiron.com/WR. Use code Get Your Weight Up for 15% off your weights and code TWR for $65 off fire pits and Kamado grills. We appreciate them. Workout, grill out, chill out with Golden's Cast Iron. And our friends at the Rogue Shop, visit rogueshop.com. Use code Rapport to get 15% off your Rogue Shop order. Visit our friends at the Vibe Vault. You can find them at 3462 Crosswinds Road, Suite E in Phoenix City, Alabama. Get fresh for the weekend with the Vibe Vault, not just barbers, lifestyle consultants. Check us out on podcasts, all the podcast platforms. We are there bringing you lots of great audio-only content. The Auburn Express Uptempo College Loop, Just a Sec, and the War Report Gaming channel. Lots of good stuff there for you guys. Subscribe, turn on automatic downloads, and if you have time, leave us a 5-star review. That helps us out a ton. You can find our written work at thewarreport.com, as well as our merch store where you can get your War Report gear. Lots of great t-shirts, hats, bags, all branded War Report stuff for you guys there. You can help support our channel by buying something there, or again, just visit our website and check out our written work. Any hits to the website, we definitely appreciate. Let's get out of here. We'll see you guys tomorrow on the Auburn Express. We're signing off, and as always, for you.